Welcome in. Welcome in.
What's going on, y'all?
We got off-season content. It's February. It's the doldrums. But we all know by this point, the NFL season's never truly over.
There's always something to talk about.
There's always something going on. And right now, I would say the thing that is going on is the precursor to free agency, which means we get to speculate where everybody's going to end up.
And I know you've been jonesing to talk about our next player.
Hey, my guy. Yeah. I think this is certified, fair to say. Aaron Jones has been my guy since I first laid eyes on him. It was love at first sight.
Yeah, it was love at first sight. You saw him in the same year that they drafted Jamal Williams, and you were just like, Aaron Jones is so much better.
I was like, this dude is that fucking guy, man. I saw the vision, the burst, the explosive plays, the consistent high level production. He didn't always get the workload in Green Bay, but he didn't need it.
Yeah, I think that's why you loved him so much. He was getting less work than pretty much every other RB1 out there, but still performing like an RB1 on a game-to-game basis every game.
Yeah, missed time last year, still finished as the RB5. The year before that, he was the RB2 to Christian McCaffrey. Finished as a top 20 RB a couple of years ago, despite missing a couple of games at the beginning of the season. The guy has just been a baller.
Yeah, he's a yards per carry guy. He's a guy that he's always above 5 or within 2.2 points of it. And this guy, he's electric when he's on the field.
He's electric when he's on the field. And yet, it's possible that he has played his last game in Green Bay.
Yeah, they're $28 million over the cap as it stands right now.
Drafted A.J. Dillon in the second round.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be able to bring him back.
I think if they can find a way to get him back, his best situation is there in Green Bay, playing with Aaron Rodgers, playing behind that elite offensive line, playing with that team that has a good defense. The Packers are winning games a lot. Therefore, he gets rushing opportunities. And even if they're not, he's outstanding catching the football out of the backfield. He's a do-it-all back. He's a great weapon. I totally understand that in today's NFL, running backs are devalued, and for better or worse, that's the correct way to operate if you're an NFL team. But damn it if I don't have a soft spot for Aaron Jones. He's so good.
And I assume that he would want to go back to the Packers because they utilize him so well.
I think so.
They're not running him into the ground, so he is a running back that could have a longer career than some other guys who are just smashing to the line every other day.
No doubt. He's not a 350, 400 touch guy. It's more like 250 touches, and he's still a top 5 running back. So you're correct there. I worry a little bit that the efficiency could go down a little bit if he were to leave Green Bay. That being said, I would say it's at least 50-50 that he's not back. And, maybe from a bird's eye view, maybe it's better. Better's not the right word. Maybe it's greater than that.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think it's more just based on the cap situation that the Packers are in and some of the other holes that they have on offense that have been glaring for a while now.
Wide receiver.
Like wide receiver, namely. But we've identified some teams here where he could go to a couple of these teams and, if not maintain the same level of effectiveness, get pretty close.
Yeah, I would hope so. I don't know why. There's one team in particular that stands out to me, and we have confirmed they do have a little bit of cap space, or enough sufficient that would be able to acquire a running back on a decent team-friendly contract that also sees the running back gets paid, and that's Miami. Yep. I think the Dolphins, for whatever reason, call it intuition, whatever have you. The Dolphins feel like a landing spot that is more than realistic. This is a team that you would presumably say is on the rise. There's been rumors that could the Dolphins conceivably trade Tua Tagovailoa to Houston in a package that lands them Deshaun Watson. we're talking about a pipe dream here, but regardless of whether that happens or not, this is a team that's presumably on the rise. They want to put some pieces around Tua. Now, they kind of have a few of those in the passing game already, but the run game is a little uninspiring. I know Myles Gaskin played well when he was in. I know Salvon Ahmed played well when he was in, but they're kind of uninspiring.
They kind of went out of their way to get running backs that they never used last year, so they identified it as an area of need. They went out and got Matt Breida. They went out and got Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
They brought in Lynn Bowden. They
did.
They drafted Malcolm Perry. They brought in Salvon Ahmed as an undrafted free agent. They had Gaskin there, and they made Gaskin the RB1 for the majority of the season, and he did well. He was the RB27 on 2020.
It's pretty good. And in limited opportunities, yeah.
This is a team that has identified running back as a need last year to the fullest extent, to the extent that I haven't seen any other team go out and identify running back as a need.
Good point.
And they still haven't fulfilled it.
Good point.
Jordan Howard isn't that guy. Matt Breida isn't that guy. Malcolm Perry isn't that guy. Lynn Bowden isn't that guy. Myles Gaskin looked good, but he should be a guy that should be treated more like a Jamal Williams.
Right.
So I think they should go out and get Aaron Jones and kind of run their offense like that.
Sure.
Because I think it's a match made in heaven, just like you.
Yeah, it's absolutely a good point that the Dolphins clearly prioritize trying to upgrade that position. I'm not ready to, not to get too off track, I'm not ready to completely write off a guy like Lynn Bowden, but yeah, I mean, they are looking for a piece there in that backfield. They have the cap space. The defense is already good. I don't think they need to spend
It's the top scoring defense in the NFL in 2020.
So there you go. I don't think they need to spend significant resources on defense. They already did that going into the 2020 season when they signed Byron Jones. They've already got guys there. Now it's time to focus on the offense, put pieces around Tua, make life easier for your presumably franchise quarterback who was kind of up and down in 2020 and, sometimes looked good, sometimes there were question marks that were raised, but still, he was a rookie. Regardless, you want to put pieces around that guy. And a lot of times the old mantra is one of the quarterback's best friends outside of a tight end is a good run game. Aaron Jones would provide that for Miami. He would instantly provide a spark in the run game. He instantly makes it a little bit easier for the Dolphins to sustain drives, again, because he averages over 5 yards a carry oh my God. He averages 5 yards per carry for his career. Over that, in fact, he would bring some stability to that offense and make it a little easier for Tua. I think that spot makes a lot of sense.
And to speak to how he would fit with Tua was a guy that did not take chances. He took no chances in 2020.
Pretty conservative quarterback.
Ultra safe.
Yep.
So if you're going to find a player that matches his play style, it's a running back that he can hand the ball off to, who can accumulate huge chunks of yardage, and it's a guy who you can dump the ball off to in the pass game, who can take a screen to the house. This is the type of player that Tua needs, because he's not a guy that's going to go out there and take a ton of chances. That's just not him.
No, at least not since the hip injury that he suffered.
Right.
We've seen him play much more conservatively. So I do think Miami would seemingly be a favorite if he left Green Bay. Now, sticking in that division, there are a couple of other teams that need a ton of help just on offense in general. We've talked about the Jets in this free agency series previously. We've talked about the Patriots in this free agency series recently. More so the Jets than the Patriots, but both could conceivably use an upgrade at running back. Could he go there?
I see the Jets as a very realistic option.
Yep.
Because you look at that head coach, he's coming over from the Niners. The Niners were one of the best run teams in the NFL. They stacked running back on running back on running back on top of each other, and all of them succeeded. So if, from a running back perspective, if you were going to go to a team that hasn't been the bestest from a winning perspective, but could conceivably turn on the juice in the run game and just let this guy fly, it is the Jets. They
Yeah.
need a guy. Their number one running back right now is LaMichael Perrine, and he might have something, but it's not Aaron Jones.
Don't know if he's a franchise running back necessarily. Yeah, that's another good point about Saleh. Robert Saleh saw firsthand, from the team that he just came from, San Francisco, what a dynamic run game can do for a team. So yeah, you're knocking them out of the park today, John, on these points. This makes a lot of sense. I think the Jets make sense. As far as fantasy goes, though, the Jets definitely don't inspire me if Aaron Jones goes there. Now, the Jets are building something as far as an offensive line a little bit with the drafting of Mekhi Becton last year. So, could Aaron Jones do well there? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I might feel a little bit better about Miami. But with Adam Gase gone, the Jets have nowhere to go but up on offense. So, it could work out.
Yeah, I'm expecting a jump, and anything would be better than Frank Gore.
I mean, all due
respect. Yes.
Look, yeah,
He's
I don't
a Hall
want
of Famer.
to. There won't be any slander of Frank Gore here today. But the Jets could be an option. Could you see the Patriots, even though they've got Damian Harris, they've got Sony Michel, James White is still there. Maybe Rex Burkhead is a cut candidate. Maybe a couple of those guys are cut candidates. But there's a lot going on in that backfield.
I don't see it because we've already addressed that they have needs at wide receiver, at quarterback, at tight end, and frankly, on their own line.
Yeah.
Their whole offensive unit needs tooling, and if you look at the deepest position on their offense right now, it would be the running back.
By default, it would be running back.
I don't think that the Patriots would be a shoo-in or even in the top 3 options for him. Obviously, they have the cap space for it, $62 million.
That's why I brought them up.
Right, but I want to talk about 2 other teams here.
Go.
One who he's been linked to a lot, and one that nobody's really talked about, and that's the Cardinals and the 49ers. Both of them have $13.5 million in cap space.
It's enough for a running back.
It's about what it would cost to get him.
Yeah, that's enough for a running back.
And I think it would be intriguing to see Aaron Jones go to one of these teams. I think if we're looking at a team that could maximize his talent, like the Packers, these are 2 teams that could do it.
Yeah, the Cardinals are an interesting team. They could presumably let Kenyon Drake walk. He played on the transition tag last year, not to be confused with the franchise tag. Drake played on what is essentially was a 1-year deal and was probably the definition of up and down last year, with probably a little bit more down than up. It was not an inspiring year from Kenyon Drake, and to the credit of Kenyon Drake, it wasn't an inspiring year from the backup Chase Edmonds either when he got his opportunity. So maybe the Cardinals have some things to work out as far as the run game, because outside of Kyler Murray scrambling around, they couldn't really run the ball.
And I don't think they want him to be running around as much as he was, because
no doubt.
He got injured, and that offense was not the same after he came back from injury.
Hurt his shoulder.
I could see them really pushing another aspect of the run game and forcing him to stay more of a passer, just to keep him a little bit healthier for the full season, because the Cardinals got an offense.
Oh, there's no doubt. You can't stack the box against them because they've got outstanding weapons on the outside.
Yep.
The Cardinals would definitely be an interesting spot. San Francisco, I'm less excited about that because, as you know at this point, San Francisco likes to rotate in and utilize multiple backs. Now, is Aaron Jones more talented than, I'm just going to start naming names, Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Jeff Wilson, JaMychal Hasty, all these dudes that have gotten carries here and there for the Cardinals over the past couple of years.
Niners.
I said the Cardinals, sorry, the Niners. All these guys have gotten looks, have gotten opportunities. Aaron Jones is definitely more talented than all of them. That being said, they deploy a multi-back scheme in San Francisco. So from a fantasy perspective, yes, while this could be maybe a Green Bay situation again, where he's not getting a ton of work, but maybe he's making the most of his opportunities. But There's something about the scheme of San Francisco that from a fantasy perspective doesn't excite me as much.
A lot of that movement on the depth chart, though, with the running backs in San Francisco was because running backs just kept getting injured.
Yeah.
Mostert got injured. Jerick McKinnon got injured. Jeff Wilson was injured for parts of the year.
Maybe the
Tevin
49ers
Coleman is always injured.
Maybe they need new strength and conditioning down there.
Maybe, but maybe they just need a new guy. Maybe they just shouldn't be relying on a 29-year-old running back in Raheem Mostert to carry the load for them full time.
Sure.
Maybe they need to put that workload on a younger guy who's not got two broken down legs in Jerick McKinnon, or who isn't always banged up like Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
I mean, if they invested a healthy, youngish running back in their run game, I think they could kind of buck the trend of being that team that is always shuffling through running backs.
And it would play to what they want to do on offense. They want to, at the end of the day, the Niners, regardless of personnel, want to run the football. Does that change a little bit if they find a way to upgrade at quarterback? Yeah, maybe, but we've seen what Shanahan wants to do on offense dating back to his days in Atlanta. The running backs get utilized, and most importantly, he utilizes them in the passing game, which Aaron Jones has proven already that he can do at a high level. So, okay, that could, if they were to say maybe cut ties with some of the older guys, Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon, and commit a guy like Aaron Jones, okay, maybe that becomes a little bit more of an enticing situation. I do think they would still try to deploy at least one other option more often than not.
Now, I got one other team here that has a fair amount of cap space, so they could absolutely accommodate him from a cap space perspective on their team, on their roster. And it seems like they're a team that likes to have two running backs and run a two running back scheme, and the rest of their offense is pretty well filled out, and that's the Broncos. They have the wide receivers, they have the tight end, they have a decent O-line. Yes, Melvin Gordon's there, but he's aging.
Right.
And they like to have a 1-2 punch there like they did with Lindsey, and Lindsey's a free agent this year. So could you see Aaron Jones going to the Broncos and being part of their 1-2 punch at running back?
I would say that would be a situation where if they were willing to maybe overpay a little bit, then sure. I think Aaron Jones is going to have multiple suitors this year. And, I guess my default assumption is players, yes, the money talks, but they also want to go to a good team as well, right? They want, there are bonuses that often come with playing into the postseason and playing postseason games and winning postseason games. And at the end of the day, you're not going to tell me that there's not a single NFL player that doesn't want to get a Super Bowl ring, regardless of the contract that they have.
Yep.
So would he want to go to a contender? I would assume so. Is Denver there right now? No, especially having to be in the same division as the Chiefs.
Yep.
But if they were able to find some money and were willing to maybe overspend a little bit for Aaron Jones, I could see it. The problem is, to that point, they just gave Melvin Gordon a pretty nice contract in 2020. So are they going to commit that much money in the backfield to two guys? If they're smart,
yeah, especially
I don't know if I see it.
Devalued position like running back.
I think they ride the wave with Melvin Gordon, let his contract run out, and then they'll go back to the well when the time comes. So I would say of the teams that we named, Denver's probably last.
Fair enough. I just wanted to see what you thought because
no doubt.
I was thinking about him as a dart throw kind of landing spot.
No doubt. Look, at the end of the day, Aaron Jones is an elite talent at running back, and he still presumably has a couple of years left, and I would think that's going to entice a team enough to want to give him the money. As much as I would hope that he returns to Green Bay from a fantasy perspective, it seems like that is probably unlikely at this point. So Miami feels like a realistic destination where he could potentially replicate what he did in Green Bay. The Jets are realistic just because they need help everywhere and they have the money. It's just the truth. To your point, some of the West Coast teams, Arizona, San Francisco, I could see him going there. San Francisco feels a little bit less likely because they have a lot of cap issues to work out. But at the end of the day, Aaron Jones is going to get his money. outside of Green Bay or not, I just hope it ends up in a situation where maybe he sees his workload go up a little bit, which could potentially offset some of the potential drop in efficiency that he may see as a result of leaving Green Bay.
Yeah, because this guy's a Jamal Charles level talent.
No
as far
doubt.
as what he can do on the field. So if he were to get a 300 touch workload, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. This guy could finish RB1. This guy could.
Look out.
He's one of those guys.
Yep.
He is a Kamara-esque talent. He is one of those guys. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think he could go to any of the teams that we mentioned? Do you have another landing spot that you would like to see him explore? Put your thoughts in the comment section below. This is the Face Mask Podcast. Thank you for listening.